My name is Terje Wulfsberg, and I've been interested in UFOs and extraterrestrials for about 40 years. And for 33 years I've been practicing homeopath in Bergen, Norway. And also part of a group, or used to be part of a group, called Share International, which I've left and now working for informing about the extraterrestrials and the UFOs and arranging UFO conferences and giving lectures. The introduction to this theme is to start with the background information about the crop formations, why they came and how it all started in the 80s. And according to information from the extraterrestrial civilizations that built Silbury Hill, this enigmatic hill that's 5,000 years old and as nobody knows and understands why it was made, they say this hill is an insurance policy for a time in the future when mankind has lost its way, when mankind has lost its connection with the divine. Then this hill will be activated and this come into function again. And there was a woman living in London called Isabel Kingston that was contacted by a group of these extraterrestrials called the Watchers. And she was asked to move to Wiltshire and starting a group work there. And the work was to do invocations and visualizations and meditation work for activating the ley line system and the ley line grid in the area, and also activate the Silbury Hill to make it function again like its original, according to the original plan. These extraterrestrials, ETs, have been watching over us and helping us for thousands and thousands of years, and this is part of a bigger plan which they have. And in 1988 the group in Wiltshire was given the information that now the crop formations will start appearing. At the end of July 1988 there were 51 crop formations in Wiltshire. All of them came in the area around Silbury Hill. And as I said, this is a part of a plan for helping the planet Earth. And they have, the crop formations they use sacred geometry and they have a harmonizing and beneficial effect on our consciousness just looking at them. And they are also situated on the ley line system, and especially on the nodes where the two the ley lines cross each other, that we can call the Mother Earth's acupuncture points. And the ley line system can be called Mother Earth's meridians, like we have the meridians in our body, where energy circulates. And why there are so many crop formations in Wiltshire is that the Avebury stone circle was also made, and the Stonehenge was also made by extraterrestrials. And this is called the heart center of the planet, where the ley line system is activated and energized. So therefore the crop formations appear in that area. And when you activate the ley line system, all forms of life are affected, and consciousness everywhere is affected. Not only in humans but in plants and animals, because this has a global effect. It's not only a nice pattern in a field in England or somewhere else. This activation and this strengthening of the ley line system, raising our consciousness and stimulating us, increases year by year. And another important part of the crop formations is that they describe concrete events, earthly as well as astronomical events. Here, this crop formation in Chaddenwick Hill, which is showing here, is a prime example of how this energizing of the ley line system works. We see here that it's counterclockwise. The spiral is counterclockwise, and that means that there's energy going into the ley line system. If it's clockwise spiral, the energy goes out. So very often in crop formations, the the lay of the crop is counterclockwise. And there are a lot of interesting similarities between crop formations and pyramids, because both are found all over the world, and they are situated on ley line and especially on nodes, and they distribute and accumulate energy. And pyramids used to be storage places for free energy, and crop formations will also in the future be storage places for new forms of energy. And they are both created by advanced extraterrestrial technology, and it seems that they both have the same function of raising and elevating our consciousness in a very beneficial way. When you are at the node point or on the ley line, your psychology and your brain is affected in a special way. It's like you are much more in a meditative state, and your ability to become telepathic is increased manifold, many times. So when you also make a crop formation or build a pyramid there, that effect is potentized many times. And in both the crop formations and in the pyramids, the electromagnetic frequencies are very different from the surroundings. That can be measured, and both emit sound vibrations. And there is an astounding correspondence between the construction of some of the pyramids and some of the crop formation. For example, the grid square crop formation in Wiltshire came in 1996, has strong similarities with the Cheops pyramid. Both have the same resonant frequencies, and both are found in the same on ladder system, of course, and both share some of the same measurements. And the pyramids, they are built of special types of stone, magnetite and magnesium and quartz, that had the ability to store energy. Like we see here, that they store energy for, I'll show you example of that afterwards. This is some crop circles that shows how this alternative energy system works, this free energy. A very interesting man called Ed Ledskalden built single-handedly a castle, coral castle in Hampstead, Florida, without any help. He was able to levitate the stones, make them weightless, and move them into position where he wanted to have them. And on this crop circle you see a replication of his magnetic flywheel, it's called. It's a Model T upper middle here. It's a model, parts of an old Model T Ford, which he has used as part of his system for making this anti-gravity that make the stones levitate. And also this picture here on the left side, also on the middle there, is you show some of these parts of his tools that he used to move the stones. And also on the right side here you have a magnetic motor which was built in 2008 by an Italian man. That was made from a crop formation. The pattern and the drawing for this is in the crop formation you see adjacent to it. And the pyramids store energy, like I said. And when they are not protected, that means that the top of the pyramid is made of it's a coating there, or a shield that was made of gold and silver in the past that kept the energy inside the pyramid. And the first thing that happens when these pyramids started to become pillaged and they went out of their original use, this was taken away, and then the pyramids are standing open and the energy leaks out of them, like you see here in these three pictures. And one of the largest pyramid is the Sun Pyramid in Bosnia. This was discovered in 2005. And this quote from this man that discovered the pyramid is very interesting. He says, Semir Osmanagic, he said that almost everything that they have taught us about the origin of man, the pyramids and earlier civilizations are wrong. Well, extraterrestrial civilizations, the ETs, cannot make new pyramids. No government will allow that, and the government of the world and the media are debunking and their efforts and try to keep this information about ETs visiting us away from the public. I'm going to say a little bit more of that. But what they can do, they can make pyramids in the air, up in the floating over the largest cities in the world. In Moscow and Shanghai, there have been pyramids appearing, like we see for these 4 examples here. And the pyramids were often built in pairs, so therefore we have 2 pyramids floating in the air at the same time. One larger and one smaller, moving around the larger one, which is more stationary. Well, who is behind this? Who is these ETs? Who are they? One of the groups is what they call the Nordics, and the Maya legend about the Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, the tall man with fair skin, blonde hair and blue eyes. He was deified and made into a god, but he was an extraterrestrial inspiring the Mayan culture, his group. So it's the Mayan calendar is what is really is the Nordic calendar. It's from this ET group, and they come from Venus and they come from the Pleiades, both, but they are all look both the same, tall and Scandinavian look. And according to a Swedish contactee, which is a friend of mine, is Sten Lindgren, the contactees in the 50s, George Adamski, Howard Menger and Daniel Fry, all had contacts with these Nordics. And according to another very famous UFO researcher that died in 2010, called Wendell Stevens, he had 60 years of experience, he says there are 2 groups of extraterrestrials that take a special interest in us, and one of them are the Nordics. And according to Stevens, and other information coming from the ageless wisdom teaching, when a planet, then life is starting on the planet, you have the mineral kingdom coming, and then the plants come, and then the animals, and then as a special point when the human kingdom is going to be established, extraterrestrials from other civilizations come and establish their own species. And therefore you have this missing link. There's no link between apes and the humans. We are very different and nobody understands why. Because we have been, and therefore they are always looked after us. Like a younger sibling is looked after by the older. It's the same. The older civilizations, the more developed civilizations, look after the younger and oversee our evolution and help us so much as they can without infringing our free will. And there's a special time where we are now, when a planet is reaching a critical point in its development. It gives out a signal which is heard by these ET civilizations, which have the ability and inclination to come and help. And there are about 10 ET civilizations here that most of them work together in a cooperative effort to raise our consciousness and to help humanity and to help this planet's further evolution. Here's a concrete example from Silbury Hill on the 6th of June 2009. Early in the morning at 5 a.m. a policeman was off duty traveling in his car through the Wiltshire, and he saw 3 figures standing in the crop field, looking at what was just a new, recently made formation, made the same night. Seems that they were inspecting the work. And they were tall, light hair, long hair, like you see here, in Nordics. and he just showed it to them and wanted to come in contact with them, and they didn't seem to recognize, didn't seem to bother. They just stood there, and he went out of his car and wanted to go towards them, and then they just disappeared, like floating away, in a way that he couldn't possibly try to run because they were gone. This was also a very short time. This was also in Norwegian media, because the credibility of this policeman was so that the media took an interest in this story and brought it out. What's very interesting about these crop formations, about them, is that old Mayan symbols that hasn't been known for hundreds of years, forgotten symbols, starts appearing in the crop formations. And you see the birth of the sixth sun and the end of the fifth sun, these two pictures. And the end of the fifth sun is on the 21st of December 2012. And 5 suns takes about 26,000 years, called a galactic day. And 1 sun takes about 5,150 years to complete. So we are on a very important time in history of this planet, and we're going to, of course, go more into that. But the thing is that the Maya had this deified individual, which was a Nordic extraterrestrial called Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan. And the hope is have the same, depict him as the same, in the same way. They depict him as a feathered serpent. So it seems that it's the same individual that's been, or group of individuals that's been influencing both the Mayans in Central America and the natives in US, the native Indians. And his promise is to return when the Mayan calendar ends on the 21st. And where on Silbury Hill he says he wants to show up in a month from now. So we are heading for very interesting times. We are in very interesting times. And he is depicted in this stone engravings, icons in stones 2,000 years ago in Mexico. You see him here wearing a very strange hat, a jester's hat. And also his famous pyramid called the feathered serpent, which was his nickname, because he had a kind of extraordinary dressed in an extraordinary way, which reminded the local people about their bird called Quetzal bird, which is a very nice plumage, red and green, and they call him Quetzalcoatl, and Coatl means serpent. It's a smart and extravagant looking individual, like this nickname. And we see here a very interesting thing that up on the right here, that this jester's hat, which he wears in this stela for 2,000 years ago, is appearing in the crop formation in England, together with a wanderer's staff. And most probably the wanderer's staff says, I'm the wanderer. I have been there before. I was in the Central America. Now I'm in the England making the crop formations. And this also up on the right here, on the left here. I mean, this is the feathered serpent, the symbol for Quetzalcoatl. And interestingly, the Mayans based their calendar on the movements of the planet Venus, and they were very obsessed about Venus movements in the sky. And interesting correspondence is that during this year 2012, at least 11 different crop formations shows movements and position of Venus seen from Earth. And like I said, these civilizations comes from the Nordic civilization comes from Venus. Therefore, there is the connection with Venus. And Venus is the planet in our solar system that is most highly developed. It's in the 7th round, and everything is almost perfect. They are like gods, the individuals there. And they are on the physical, etherical plane, and by lowering the vibration, they can become physical like us and show themselves how they are, how they look. And we see also here on the lower part the different crop formations in England appearing, looking with the 5-pointed star, the symbol for Venus. And here we also see on the right side a petroglyph or drawings in stone from Mexico, 2000 very old drawings, at least also 2000 years old, which shows the planet Venus, and also we see the planet Venus as the 5-pointed star appearing in crops. And on the left side we see the hairdress of Quetzalcoatl, how that was depicted in this engravings, and we see also Quetzalcoatl's headdress appearing in crop formation near Silbury Hill. So it's very interesting correlations here. It's just tell us a lot. And also the ancient Mayan symbol for Venus appeared in crops. And Venus symbolizes the morning star, a new day, a new start, a new beginning, just like humanity needs today to come on a very different path than we are. We are heading for destruction, environmental destruction. The degradation of the environment is accelerating, and we have the global warming. We have huge problems which we have to solve in very short time. Half of the ice on the north, on the polar cap in the north, and Arctic has already disappeared, and the other half, all of it will be gone in 2016 if its melting goes on like this. And that what means that the solar rays from the sun will go directly into the sea, and the global warming will be much worse, and methane gas will be released from the bottom of the sea. And also here we have Quetzalcoatl has made his signature appearing in the crop formation, the 7th chakra crop formation that appeared in 2004. This is a picture showing, telling more than 1,000 words. A very interesting picture because it shows 2 crop formations at the same time. The Celtic cross is the sign for the Christian, the impulse coming from our spiritual hierarchy through Jesus with his simple teaching of love and love thy brother, and which we have never been able to live up to. And the sign of Venus. That means 2000 years ago, when Jesus was active on the outer plane as a representative for our spiritual hierarchy, then also the Quetzalcoatl was and his group was in Central America at the same time, working in the open. So 2000 years ago, when we were entering the age of Pisces, they were openly among us, working in the open, not behind the scenes like they have done for a long time. And the plan is that now that we are entering the age of Aquarius, both the leader of our spiritual hierarchy, called Maitreya, the world teacher, and a group of masters of wisdom, according to the information coming from Master DK through Alice Bailey, the externalization of the spiritual hierarchy, which is described in one of the books from Alice Bailey. It's taking place now, and the leader of the Nordics, Quetzalcoatl, has said that he will appear on Silbury Hill. So both of them, these leaders of these two groups that works behind the scenes and oversee a revolution, are on the way to move forward and come out from behind the scenes. There are other groups also. This is a cooperative effort, not only by the cooperation between our spiritual hierarchy and the ETs, extraterrestrial civilization, but also there are several extraterrestrial civilizations, like I said. And Egypt is the one that were in Egypt, the one that came into Peru, like the Incas, and to the Native Americans, and to the Egyptians, and to the people in Central America. All of them have the same legend and stories about star people appearing from the sky. And Silbury Hill is called Hill of the Shining Ones, and this Neteru, this coming from Egypt, working in Egypt, was also called the Shining Ones. And one of the 7 stars in Pleiades is called Maya. So that's a very interesting correlation also between the Maya culture and the Nordics from the Pleiades. Here is some concrete examples of the crop formations, how they foretell very important events that have taken place here. This crop formation appeared in 2007. And it's quite of a messy one. It doesn't have the sacred geometry, and it seems like it depicts an oil spill that took place in 2010 in the Gulf of Mexico, and this was made in 2007. And 3 days after this special formation was made, the logo of BP appeared in the crop formation. So they say there were going to be a disaster, and we tell you who is behind it. And that, of course, was correct. This happened, and the BP was behind. So we see the prediction is very accurate. Another example of the accuracy is this formation here, appearing in Grasdorf, Germany in 1991. A man going with a metal detector over the area where the crop formation had been made, discovered a golden plate, and the pattern on the golden plate is exactly the same as on the crop formation. So they say, we know what's under here. And he was probably also inspired by them in one way, or maybe telepathic contact or something, because he just did this, found it, and dug it up, and then disappeared, and nobody knows anything about him, who he was, so but anything else. And there's also very interesting predictions that have turned out to be correct about solar activity. Sunspot activity has been depicted in crop formations. You see examples here where the standing turf on the right side corresponds with the solar sunspot on this photo, and this was also about the same time. And I also have depicted in crop formation what we call a bow shock, that the whole Earth magnetic field is shaped into a jellyfish by the effect of a solar flare. And that was also showed in this crop formation in Wayland Smithy in 2009. And during 2009 there was several crop formation that seemed to give a warning about a strong coming coronal mass ejection, as a CME, solar storm. And the date that could be interpreted from the crop formation was the 7th of July 2009. And we see here on this right side, we see a photo of a solar sunspot, and we see the sunspot also in the field. And around the sunspot there are 7 points, 7 small points. And we see this was made in July 1st, 2009, and on July 7th, this extremely strong crop CME came, the strongest in 50 years. And here's also a newspaper article about the CME warning given in crop formation. This article was made in 3rd of July, and 4 days before this event took place. So the conclusions are: our extraterrestrial friends have an astounding insight into our affairs and about events that are going to take place. And this is a very advanced and intelligent way of communicating with us, and a way of reaching as many people as possible. Working through one individual would have a very, or giving this a person or a group of persons this information would have a very limited impact, because of the media and because of the debunking effort that's going on, still going on. Very difficult for these people to get this information out to the majority of people. And but by using the crop formations, they can reach as many people as possible, and they can to inform us and warn us about coming events, like we saw the examples here. And we can see after in hindsight that the correctness and accuracy is confirmed. And like the UFO phenomenon, they are debunked and neglected by the mainstream media, and therefore they are not taken into consideration by the majority, and the messages are only known to relatively few. But that does not mean they are less real or that they are of lesser importance. And we can ask, are the media upholders of truth or of the status quo? And can mainstream media be trusted? It seems that the elite, the financial elite behind the oil companies, the pharmaceutical companies, the producers of weapons, the military and the finances, which oil is the most important commodity, when the extraterrestrial civilizations with their advanced technology can improve our health tremendously without using drugs. That will mean less sale for the pharmaceutical companies. And also I see that when my own work as a homeopath, homeopathy is debunked the same way, because it's a threat to the establishment, to the pharmaceutical companies and to the medical doctors that uses drugs. This form of healing, which can, in most cases, be come instead and do away with the use of drugs. These power elite are so tremendously influential in the media, and they don't want change. They want to uphold the status quo. And what we see today is a great power struggle. And of course, the ones that has the money and the influence and the power, the establishment wins. But that will not go on forever. We are in for a big change, and we also information that we're given now and about that event happening in a month or so is probably an event that will be a wake-up call and skip the balance, and make the upholders of the status quo, upholding of the status quo, much more difficult or impossible. What I'm talking about here is an event that has been depicted in several crop formations and also in the air, that I'm going to show you. And the first crop formation that says something about this came in the 15th of July 2008 and shows our solar system at the time of the winter solstice on the 21st or 23rd of December, according to the positions of the planets. You can see what time the date is set. And 1 week after the first this confirmation came, it was developed more, and there were extra elements added to it. And we see here the planet X coming in. And we see the tram lines has been more prominent because the farmer was very angry and wanted to destroy it or distort it, the formation. And we see also that the sun has increased very much in size. It's much larger than 1 week before. And also in the planet Pluto is out of its path. It has been distorted out of its path. And that was also told in the 50s to a contactee for extraterrestrial civilization called Dino Krasperidon, that will become a planet and into our solar system that will make Pluto move away from its path. And what this expanding sun disk is telling us is probably that it will be a very, very strong solar activity, CME, solar storm coming at this time. And we see also a comet coming in at that time, which has been depicted also in the crop formations. And we can see here there's showing in this this formation here. There was a very interesting spectacular event taking place, a phenomenon shown in the sky over New Zealand at the end of March 2011. And it seems to show the same crop formation like Avery Manor crop formation, which we show depicted in the sky. You can see here, it seems to show the planets for the upcoming date of December 21 to 23rd this year, like the crop formation. As above, so below, we can say. Like we see here. And we can also make a comparison between what appeared in the sky and what appeared on the ground on the 15th and the 22nd of July 2008. And we see an object moving in and an object passing, like we see this comet appearing also at that time. And here is a more detailed description of the same. We see the unknown object appearing, entering, passing and leaving. And the greater part of this analysis has been done by the Australian scientist called Horace Drew, which has done very many accurate predictions of events, astronomical events especially, that first appeared in crop formation. And here in Italy we have the same. We have our inner solar system, the planets nearest to the sun, depicted, and we see the date for this is also December 21st. And why do they do this again and again? Isn't this a strong clue, a strong sign that this is a very important event that they want to make us aware of? They don't do this for fun. It must have some deeper reason. So it's up to every one of you that looks at this to make your own conclusions, of course, but just show you what the extraterrestrial civilizations, ETs, are trying to say to us, trying to tell us. And of course, on this date we will see if it's correct or not. And also I said that Quetzalcoatl was going to appear at Silbury Hill on the 21st of December, and we see also this serpent, this crop formation that appeared in 2008, shows a serpent at around Silbury Hill. Silbury Hill was replicated, depicted as a crop formation, and the serpent is a sign of a symbol of Quetzalcoatl. At the time of the comet, he will show himself on Silver Hill. Like this is another crop formation saying. This is a crop formation telling us this. And on the 21st of December, we are in alignment with the galactic center. The Hunab Ku is a symbol, Mayan symbol for the galactic center. And according to the Mayans, the galactic center has a great importance. The energy coming from there and events taking place there have great importance for us. And also modern astrophysicists and modern science say that on the galactic center there's a black hole where planets or stars are swallowed and made. So they have confirmed that this information, that the importance of this center, galactic center. And on the 21st of December, the Earth is in alignment with the galactic center. And the energy coming from there will have a very strong effect on the Earth and all living organisms here. And one of the effects is that unused DNA, we have 97% unused DNA, can be activated, and we can be given a lot of new abilities that people don't have today, can be activated in future generations by this energy. This is one of the things that probably will take place. Back to our spiritual hierarchy. The master who was the Madonna 2000 years ago is one of the masters in our spiritual hierarchy, manifesting all events, all miraculous events having to do with the Madonna, like the bleeding statues that weeping blood, and the apparitions of the Madonna appearing before people, especially children. That has happened several times. And in '65 there was an appearance by the Madonna in Garabandal in Spain, and one of them, the one called Conchita Gonzalez, was given a special kind of information which most probably will have to do with the event that's going to take place in a month or so. And they will, she says it like this, I've given through her. All people, wherever they are, will understand this, will perceive this and know that this stems from God. And we will observe the event and feel the warning inside us. And there will be tremendous spectacle in the sky with a lot of thunder and lightning. It will be as two stars collide. It will have the same effect as a near-death experience. That means when you leave your physical body, your whole life is shown from before you in your eye as a film. And that would be a similar event when we see this event in the sky. And it will have a very, very strong effect on our psyche. And it will be a frightening experience also for many. And from the Hopi prophecies, which has also been influenced by ETs, the Payana, the lost white brother from the stars, he was called by the native Indians, by the Hopis. He's most probably the same individual that was Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan. And according to the Hopi prophecies, there will be a messenger that will precede the coming, what we call the purifier. And these messages will be written in the living stone, in the sacred grains, and in water. Crop circles have been found on ice, and crop formations are also mostly common in wheat, and nobody can understand how the wheat where this has originated, because it's a plant, it's a crop which we don't know, seems to come from nowhere or from somewhere else, and most probably it's an ET gift to us. And you see the crop formations also coming in wheat and through the different also other grains. And the purifier will issue a great red light, and it will be a red dawn, and the sky will be the color of blood. And many things will start to happen that we're not sure of the exact nature, and reality will be changed. And we have a very interesting correspondence between the Carrington event that took place in 1859 and Aurora Borealis, the northern lights, which we call them, which enveloped the whole of the southern hemisphere down to equator. And it was intensely green because these particles coming from the sun reacted with the nitrogen in the air, and intensely red because there was a reaction with the oxygen. And the red light was so vivid that it looks like the trees were covered with blood. And it was so brightly red that the fire department thought there was a forest fire, or that the nearby cities were burning. So this was what happened and Richard Carrington, as astronomer, he described it, and therefore it has this name after him, the Carrington event. And the telegraph lines took fire and burned, and it was had a tremendous strong effect. But there was no electronics at that time, except some telegraph lines. But if a similar event happens now, we will see this will have a colossal effect on our whole civilization, especially in the richer part of the world where we have the most modern electronics, and everything is governed by electronics. And all financial transactions, motors, electric motors, in the cars are governed by advanced electronics, computers. Everything will be affected. Power plants, it's a tremendous effect. It will make a whole civilization come to a standstill, the richest part especially. And this event is the same event that the Conchita Gonzalez tells about. And the crop formation in Avery Manor also. It's most probably, but we cannot be sure, of course. Here are two very interesting crop formations that one of them appeared in Wiltshire, and it shows on the left side here, it shows the bird phoenix. And when the phoenix bird, its days are over, it sets fire to itself and burns. And from the ashes, a new bird is appearing. So we see the fire from the sun sets fire to the whole, destroys this civilization, or makes a lot of changes, and then not new civilization is developed. We can see this, it tells us a very interesting story, which we can see a correlation here. And here also in the Netherlands, there was in 2009 the largest crop formation appearing, 500 meters, 400 meters wide, depicting a caterpillar growing into a butterfly. And the change when the larva its transformation, like a man is depicted with looking like a butterfly, like a transformed humanity, like a new humanity. And how can this appear? How can this come about? How can this change come? The inspiration from our own spiritual hierarchy, the Masters of Wisdom, and their leader, the world teacher Maitreya, to inspiration from higher spiritual, developed and benevolent space brothers, ETs, which we have been talking a lot about, and through this global crisis causing a wake-up call. the Carrington event, and through the energetic stimulus that will take place from the Hunab-Ku, their galactic center, at the 21st to the 23rd of December. And what we can be sure of is that both our extraterrestrial friends and the Masters of Wisdom will do absolutely all they can within karmic law to lessen the impact of these disasters. So help us as much as they can. And that it's also the possible arrival of this Planet X, or Nibiru it's called. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching.
Can you just list the things that are going to happen on the 21st of December this year, 2012?
Yes, according to information from Quetzalcoatl himself, or from the ETs, he is going to appear on Silbury Hill. And then the energy will come from the galactic center, because the Earth will be in alignment with the galactic center at that date, 21st to 23rd of December. And also according to the information given in these crop formations, there will be a great solar event, like similar to the Carrington event that happened in 1859. And that will have a tremendous implication for our whole civilization, and for our way of life will be affected, and everybody will be affected in the same way. And therefore, through a crisis, through some adversity, we can change direction. That it will force a lot of changes, because we don't seem to change as long as it's to our benefit, and so long as we like the safety of the old ways. We like what is known, and we feel secure in the known, and what we already have. We don't like anything new, because we don't know how it will be. So we prefer the unjust civilization, where most of the resources of this planet is taken by a relatively few, especially those few that takes most. They don't want to do any changes, because they have all the advantages. They waste and usurp most of the world's food and other resources, 20% of mankind. And it's a very unjust and unsustainable situation, creating a lot of suffering, unnecessary suffering among the poor that cannot compete with us, because we in the rich countries have this financial power and the ability to take much more than we need of the world's resources and buy them up and usurp them. So it will be a change that is very necessary, and will bring a lot of positive things, positive change for the better, for the whole of the planet, and then necessary change to ensure that we survive as the mankind survives and thrives and builds a new civilization which is based on justice and sharing, and which is on a much higher level than we are today, where we take oil and coal and atomic energy and all this, and all the energy sources that we use today become obsolete, and there are new types of energy that's ready to be implemented and used, and that has to come. The sooner the better for our future and for the sake of the planet.
What about the economic system?
The financial system is built most financial transactions are speculative. We've seen all kind of speculative transactions. That means the shares or commodities, or financial transactions with the speculating like the valuta the currency speculation has to stop. All this all this speculative part of the financial system, which has not anything to do with the reality, with real goods and services. It has to disappear, because it's just for the benefit of the rich to become richer.
Yes, you mentioned sometimes during the lecture that the aliens, the ETs, they have trouble. How shall I put it? Spreading their information because it's debunked all the time. You said by the government. So.
Or by the media, yeah.
And the media,
yeah.
Of course, which you could say maybe, or big corporations which probably own the media and the government.
That's true.
But you can then, I then ask myself, why don't they just fly in with their ships and convince everyone just like that?
Well, that will be an ideal situation, but that's nothing to do with the reality, because it's certain laws that governs their actions, and that's first and most important law is the law of free will. That means that they cannot overtake and take control over us or put our judgment aside and decide for us. We have to decide what's best for us, and we have to understand what's the better. We have to develop the better judgment to make the correct decisions. Nobody will come and decide for us. That means that's will never happen. We have to save ourselves by understanding that we have to make big changes for the better. No special interest can govern any longer. It must be what's the betterment for the whole of humanity and for the planet. What's the best for all? The very different way of thinking and priorities have to change drastically for us to be able to make the new civilization which has to come for mankind to survive.
So what you're saying is that we have to change more. We have to develop our consciousness more before they can present themselves to us.
That's true. We must be more ready for it, and we have to. That means also the next law is the law of correspondences. That means the more this information is withheld from the public, and the less the people get to know about the ETs that's visiting civilizations that are visiting us, and why they are here, and how it all functions. The less we know, the more they have to stay in the background. The more they have to work behind the scenes, and the more information the spread is around. The more media informs us, the more they can show themselves and work openly. We decides. We are holding them back. So we hold the evolution of the planet back for the benefit of a few at the expense of the many, and the expense of the planet, environment, and making a very unjust and unsustainable situation.
How much or how many of us on the planet would have to kind of believe in the ETs or be ready for them before they appear? You could say.
Well, it has more to do with our goodwill, our willingness to make sacrifices to share the resources that this planet has, so everybody get decent lives. So nobody. Why should so many suffer? And if you have a few percent of world's population own 50% of all the world of control of all the world's resources and money, it's a very unjust situation that cannot go on. It has to do with a change in our mentality. the goodwill, is the lowest aspect of love that we can show. So 1.8 billion people has already this mentality, this attitude that makes this change possible. And they are more open also to new things, to the information, to the and it hasn't so much to do with how many people are know about ETs. It has more to do with our way of our consciousness. When our consciousness develops more, and we are more inclusive, and we see us as one humanity, and that the resources that this planet has is there for everybody. It's to sustain humanity, not for the ones that have money to grab most of it. When our attitude change, everything will change, and then these civilizations that don't have money and that have a much more just and stable society, they will come and give us advice. Then the time is ready for that.
1.8 billion, you said?
According to information from the master, the world teacher Maitreya, and the master, one of the masters in a spiritual hierarchy, it's that many people are now ready for a change, and that is enough to make the change happen. So, because they will inspire others, and it will be like a snowball effect.
So it will happen then?
It's up to us. Nobody comes and saves us. We have to save ourselves. But they see both the ET civilizations that's here to raise our consciousness and help us, and done that for thousands of years, and also the Masters of Wisdom, which has worked throughout history, through Jesus, to Muhammad, to Krishna, to Zoroaster, to Confucius. They have come with their teaching for helping us to improve us and to raise our way of living, the way of behaving, and to improve us, so the develop us. They have come with teachings that's the same teachings you will find in many religions. It has to do with a better way of behaving, a better way of functioning on a higher level, which which improves yourself and the society.
So it's all about sharing, you could say.
Yeah, it boils a lot of it boils down to that, and that's true. Be willing to have a better world for everybody.
Less selfishness.
Yes, yeah, more altruistic, less selfishness. That's correct.